Straight out of East Blue. It's a One Piece manga review from Cool Guy for You. Alright, there we go. We forgot to do that the last two episodes because it's been a bit of a time gap. So I completely forgot that I did that. But anyhow, we got the Zoro versus Kabaji. Zoro winning, but having to pass out and rest up from his wound from Buggy, and then Kabaji beating on it, and Zoro himself slicing his wound open. Absolutely sick. And now we get Luffy versus Buggy, but it hesitated with the mention of Buggy being reminded of a red-haired guy because of Luffy's hat, and Luffy got his hat from Shanks. So anyhow, One Piece manga review, chapter 18, Buggy the Clown Pirate. Something tells me we got more chapters to go. Good grief, eventually it'll be 100 times this. But anyhow, Buggy seems to know Shanks. I think we can confirm that. Buggy kind of plays the silent game. Not going to give him all the info. So, Luffy starts throwing questions. Do you know him? Where is he at now? How would Buggy know? He's not around, so. But it is interesting. Where would he be? 10 years later. How far into the Grand Line may he be or not? So. But anyhow. So the battle becomes essentially a battle over information. Luffy has to beat the information out of Buggy and loot the map, while Nami loots his treasure. So Nami, being smart, is avoiding the fighting. She wants to avoid all that sort. So very smart. Keeping herself at a distance. So anyhow, let me continue on with the visuals here. I really like Luffy's ability. That's something too. That would be critical starting the show off with the main character. You would have to pick a bonkers, broad, creative ability. And sure enough, it works so dang well. So darn well. It works. And it can be utilized with pretty much anything. So I think the guy was smart to give, with the writing, Luffy's ability what it is, the rubberness. So anyhow, the battle begins. So it's not just for the Grand Line map. Buggy goes in, dagger shoes, Luffy dodges. Buggy manages to grab Luffy's stretched arm, and will slice it up. He's going to cut it off. Luffy decides to launch straight to him. And Buggy dodges by simply popping his head off, which sounds bizarre, but he has the section fruit, or the bara fruit, whatever it is. And Nami gets to just watch from a distance, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. You keep an eye out. When she's up to something like stealing a pirate captain's loot and he's nearby, even if there's a fight going on one-on-one, it's best to keep an eye out for anything. So, and I do like Captain Buggy as well. He's a very good villain of sorts. So, and a very good opponent as well, because he's pretty much impervious to swords. Swords can't do squat against him. So it's a very neat, very, very neat. And if you watch enough of the show, chances are you're going to feel more creative. I definitely do. I definitely do with my own custom anime ideas. I've got a number of them. Some inspired by other things and some lesser so. But anyhow. The Buggy crew, some of the Buggy crew pretend to be knocked out but watch the fight anyway. So they're playing things safe. Buggy launches his hand with daggers. Luffy manages to stop the sucker coming right at him. That would be very difficult to do, even timing-wise, to stop it. But Buggy further separates his dang hand. Well, piece of his arm. I thought the hand, but apparently part of the arm. And because he separates another part of it, the part Luffy's gripped onto, the rest goes forth and it cuts up Luffy's scar from long ago when Luffy jabbed into it, trying to prove how tough he is, how strong he is, how capable he is as a little bugger 10 years prior. That is just sick. Just thinking about that, my gosh, there's bone there. I mean, it would have to be. Oh, that is just sick. Your eyeball's there, and then the bone is here. So, I don't know how he... Because it looked... Back before, it looked like that sucker went in a good inch and a half. Absolutely sick. But anyhow, back to it. Luffy don't look too pleased. And that's for a certain reason. The attack also caused a bit of minor damage to the straw hat. So Luffy gets teed off. Buggy zones in on it. Luffy declares it his treasure. And Nami recalls hearing from Luffy about it, having gotten it from a friend. So Nami's just making observations, trying to put things together. Buggy comes in with more knives, daggers, darting them around. So Buggy targets the hat. He zones in on the hat to try and tee him off all the more. Manages to skewer it with the daggers. He skewers the straw hat, Luffy's treasure. Oh boy. Now, I think not only do I like the treasure angle that this show always brings up, what is your treasure? What is your greatest treasure type of deal? That can go pretty deep. I think most would say their life is their treasure, their lifetime, their lifespan, their years of life is probably their treasure. But that's an assumption. But I think that would carry the most water. not to do a pun, but anyhow. What was I going off of? Treasure, and then I had another idea, but it flew out of my ear apparently. Believe me, remembering 100 anime names is enough for me. But longer series is fine. I get the main characters down pat. It's just all the secondaries that are being flown around and everything going episode to episode type of deal. So secondary characters can be difficult to memorize. The main characters aren't as much, not as big of a deal. But anyhow, Luffy's hat gets skewered by Buggy, his greatest treasure. He was tasked to take care of it and to return it to him once he was tough. Once he was actually tough. Luffy just is teed off, also bleeding. Buggy laughing his head off, no pun. Yeah, that's the other bit to this. There's something very human with this. Not only is it his treasure, it was a treasure from someone else gifted to him. Even things you would get for yourself, you can still treasure them to a degree. If you are into A, B, C, or D, if you have a collection of this or that, boatloads of different people, no pun, have different kinds of collections. Some might be interested in cards or this or that, whatever the case. If someone messed with such, whatever you're into in life at the time, and hobbies or this and that can come and go, but if your treasure in that way gets messed with or could be messed with, and if somebody does mess with it, man, oh man, that would be really frustrating. And on this case, this is on purpose. Even if it wasn't on purpose, it could be potentially very upsetting depending on different factors. But yeah, even if it was an accident, it could be upsetting for you or I if someone messed with something we liked. But this is on purpose. Laughing, trash talking the hat. Luffy teed off. Yeah. So Luffy just remembering Shanks, how much of an influence Shanks was on him. So Buggy and Shanks used to be on the same ship. They were part of the same crew. They were comrades in training, apparently. So Buggy does give the details. Luffy didn't have to beat it out of him. But then Buggy spits on the hat. Now, good grief. If someone trash talked, spat on what you or I valued, we would probably get very angry and teed off. Big league. So that would not be good. Not be good. And not to purposely tee someone off. That's just very, very hurtful. So what the heck was Buggy thinking? Type of a deal. And Luffy gets in a mega hit on Buggy. So much so that Buggy splits apart just from the dang hit. And what finally broke Luffy is that he disliked that Buggy compared himself to Shanks. He sees them as total contrast, totally different. So anyhow, that was One Piece chapter 18. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. Everything just amazing, built in. This and that. Just constantly impressed with One Piece. And I'm saying that from having been further along. So I can't wait to jump back into it, though. Very, very good. So anyhow, it was One Piece Chapter 18 review. Buggy the Clown Pirate. I think it was kind of silly we botched the prior two beginnings, but I had forgotten that I did the thing at the start, the little statement, and then I enabled the cam. So anyhow, that was that. Very interesting information. Everything being tied together well. The writing. Have you ever seen better writing? But I got to be careful because I don't want to spike One Piece too high in my mind because I don't want it to disappoint when I jump back into it ever. So I got to be careful. Because I certainly do treasure a certain part of the show, and other parts of the show have been great. One thing way later on I got frustrated by. Something has to, but I misinterpreted something that was probably, the intent was to just be purely comedy based, something in the past. That was made way in the past, and I interpreted it as a modern type of thing, and I got very irritated. So it is what it is. So anyhow, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more One Piece manga review. I will see you up ahead. As always, take care cool.